And welcome to episode 32 of Rippin' the Rack podcast. I am your co-host, Tim, along with my co-host, Brian. Say hi, Brian.
Hey, everybody. What's going on?
And you will notice a third today. We have...
If you're watching.
If you're watching. If you're not watching, you're listening. We have a third. I forget sometimes that people listen and not watch. We do have... a gentleman, and I use the term loosely, from Massachusetts.
He is a gentleman and a scholar.
Yes.
Of the game of bowling.
One, Mr. Davey Godwin. Dave Godwin, how are you, buddy?
How you doing, fellas? I'm doing pretty good here. Wonderful Sunday afternoon, December. Got plenty of football on. It's pretty awesome.
Fantasy playoffs.
Yep, hanging strong with the fantasy playoffs, stressing away. But no, thank you for having me. This is a treat being on. I've been listening to you guys every now and then, and happy to be on here with you guys. Talk about some bowl.
Well, we're excited. For those of you that don't know who Dave is, Dave's about 58 years old. I waited just for him to take a drink before he did that. Now, Dave's one of the younger guys of Candlepin Bowling. Guy, honestly, I don't even know. Dave, how old are you?
I just turned 31 in November.
Okay. Ooh. So I am old enough to be his father.
I guess.
I am. Actually, I'll be 50 this year, so I'm old. Dave has been around the game for quite a long time. I've been lucky enough to know Dave for 15 years. You were what, 16, 17 when you started bowling in the Worlds?
My first year at the Worlds, I was 17, and I graduated very young. I graduated when I was 17. Like I was a senior in high school, starting out 16. Then I turned 17. Yeah. So I was very fortunate. And I coming on after I graduated, I was still 17, and you're supposed to be 18 before you bowled in all the pro tournaments and pro leagues and stuff like that. So I was fortunate that they kind of changed the age little requirement for me. So they said 17 and out of high school.
Yeah.
So I was able to bowl our Friday night pro league that we have here, and the WCBC Pro Tour, and go up to the Worlds in Halifax. That was my first year.
And a hell of a first year you had.
It was very big string.
I had a monster string. I had a phenomenal week. I bowled with guys that would honestly dream to bowl it for the very first year of their Worlds. The likes of Chris Sargent, Gary Carrington, Sean Baker, Bob Betancourt, and Bill Treefel.
That was Borelli's, wasn't it?
Yep. That was my first year. That was the first year we were Borelli's. We were Borelli's one more year after that, but we made some changes the next year. But we only had 6 guys, and we had Chief, and he was probably like, I don't know, 65 years old that year. And
Chief is timeless.
Oh, he is. He bowled freaking phenomenal that year too. He was awesome.
Yeah, I bring that up only because I do remember your first year. That would have been 14 years ago, roughly. So that would have been what, 2006? Must have been 2007.
Yeah, it's an odd year because it had to be.
Oh yeah, that's right. 2007.
That was the year I was on Main Heat, and you guys had just turned to USA East.
Yes. Yep. And that was, God, I forgot it. Me, Charlie, Sean, Nate.
Sarge.
No, Sarge was with Davey.
Yeah, we had Sarge. But I think you had like Nate, Morty.
We had Nate. Yeah.
Morty.
Dick. Did we have Dick then? Dick O'Connell? I can't remember if that was my next to last year with them. So, but I do remember because I remember seeing the final couple boxes a year 200 string up there.
Yeah.
What was it? 220 something, 224, 225?
221.
221.
21.
And I was like, who the hell is this kid? And I'm like, God damn, look at the ball he throws. Holy shit.
I think those were collective thoughts amongst many people that day.
Well, and that was, so I was kind of in a lull with my bowling. Job, I wasn't able to bowl leagues because of my job. So I was only bowling the Worlds and only bowling a couple other things. So I was way down, and I remember watching you bowl and the friggin' piss missile that you threw back then.
It was a rocket back then.
Jesus, no, you threw hard.
I did.
You no doubt about it. No doubt about it. And
my first year at a tournament like that, which I used to go up for a few times when I was in Bangor. I went up a couple of times to watch Gary Carrington and that team bowl. They were travel anywhere, stateside, and the Cookie was on that team, and a few other guys too. And it was just to watch that atmosphere of bowling, especially back then too. It's great now, but back then it was really, really intense, and I just couldn't wait to get in that moment of that kind of bowling. And I'll never forget, before I was even on the team, I got asked by 3 different teams to bowl, and I was talking to Gary because we were very close, and he was like, no, just wait, and he keeps pushing and pushing and pushing. He's like, just wait, and I'm like, we're 2 months away from this tournament, and I'm still not on a team, and I can go up. What is going on here? And then I think Chief was the captain at the time, and he finally reached out to me, and obviously I couldn't say yes fast enough.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
That I remember I bowled 31 games that week. Out of 9 matches, I had out of 11 matches, I had 9 400s, and I think I averaged 132 or 131 for the week.
Yeah.
And then in the
Not
playoffs,
a bad debut.
yeah, in the playoffs, we came in the 2nd seed, and I went 440 in the first round Friday night, and then we bowled the New Hampshire All-Stars the next morning, and I went 457 or 456, and we lost by 30.
Yep.
Wow.
And then they went on to lose against McLaughlin Truck and Trailer, like everyone else did, for 7 years straight.
Yeah, they New Hampshire All-Stars, because we had the bye, and I'm pretty sure in 2007, I'm pretty sure we had the bye, and that's who we bowled, and we lost to them.
Yeah. No, you were on the left side, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think McLaughlin was on. We had a.
That was blood division year.
No. Nope. 2009. 2009 was.
Nine was
worse. Nine. You had out of the previous year, you had 8 playoff teams in the right division, and I was in the left division because 2009 was my first year with Winchell when we bowled Total Chaos.
That's right. Yep, I remember that. Did you leave early in the week or?
I was sick. I came down with a swine flu on Wednesday morning.
He was my roommate.
So I was his roommate. I stayed in the hotel Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and we left Saturday morning because I couldn't bowl.
Yeah,
and I couldn't get anyone sick. I didn't want to get anyone sick. So
yeah, I remember you being on the team, and then I remember hearing something happen, but I didn't know exactly what it was.
Yeah,
and I didn't see you at all the rest of the week.
I had the H1N1. I had the swine flu.
Yeah,
and that was my first year on USA East, and we did not make the playoffs.
I remember.
Yes.
I remember Charlie was not happy.
I can tell you about 5 other guys.
Yeah.
I just remember him taking the pencil, slamming it down, and go, "We're leaving tonight."
Yep. Yeah, that was pretty impressive.
It's it's a tough tournament. I love the tournament. It's by far my favorite tournament out there, and
legit does not get any better than that tournament. You get it's the best of the best bowlers from all around. Mass, Maine, New Hampshire, Canada. all around Canada, and just do the best you can to fill a team and go compete against the other best. It's it's a blast.
It's
you get hot, you get a good draw, you get the playoffs.
Yeah. I mean, I remember there's been a few years where teams were like kind of like a little sides were a little lopsided than others, but they weren't too crazy. But there was teams that made the playoffs, and they probably shouldn't have made the playoff. But I mean, it is what you still got a bowl. You have a week of bowling, and it's depending on where you're bowling, it's a huge grind.
It's not a vacation by any means.
No. No. So people treat it like a vacation, and I don't.
Yeah,
well, and that's kind of I have been on some teams where guys treat it as a vacation. And I've been on other teams where no one treated it as a vacation. It's two different mentalities.
Oh, yeah.
I look at it this way. Yes, it is a vacation for me. I am not at work.
Right.
However, I am also old enough now where I am not out until 3 a.m. like I used to. I mean, I can remember
going to the discotheque, Tim.
I can remember the first year of being in Halifax, 1999 maybe. So wait, 93 was Fredericton, 95 was Fredericton. Must have been 97. I can remember the first year because it was a casino. And I can remember Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Tuesday and Wednesday, I didn't get back to the room until 2 a.m.
Jesus.
Thursday, I can remember not going to bed until 5 and getting 2 hours of sleep.
And then going to bowl.
And then going to bowl.
Games, whatever.
Yes. So I learned very quickly that, yes, I'm still going up and having fun. But damn it, I'm old. I need my sleep. So I'm in the room 11:30, and I'm in bed.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And
my first year, I was rooming with Babe, and there was one night I came home kind of late. It wasn't crazy late, but he was an older guy, and he was laying down in bed watching TV, whatever. And I probably got back to the room 12:30, 1 a.m., and he was not happy. He was not happy with me at all. And after that week and realizing how much bowling is to be done and how really exhausting it is to be in a bowling alley from 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. all day long, whether you're bowling or not. It's exhausting being in a bowling alley for that long. And the whole entire week, a lot of people, I don't know how people do it. And I've noticed a lot too. It shows a difference between the guys that go up there and, it's a vacation, but you're still there for a reason.
Right.
You have fun, but you take it seriously. And the ones that take it too fun as to where the ones that have fun, but are there for that one reason.
Yeah. So I like I said, I didn't learn my lesson until after that first year in Halifax, because the first time I bowled in the tournament, Charlie called me 2 weeks before, and he was like, "Hey, I put a team in. You're bowling." I'm like, "Charlie, I got to work." He goes, "No, just take it off. You're bowling." It doesn't really work that way, Charlie. But I bowled. I did. I got it off and went up, and I bowled every single string. I bowled all 33 strings. And I did for the first 4 years of the tournament. I bowled every single string. Now, the first year I averaged, I think it was 132 for the week, and I was like, all right, that was kind of fun, right. But I realized probably a couple of years in, I'm like, I can't bowl every string.
Yep.
And the older I get, the more I try to tell the guys, no, I can't physically bowl every string.
Right.
I just can't. But it's the tournament itself is there. There is no better tournament. That there isn't. So I'll pose this to you, Davey, because I posed it to Jeff. Right now, for houses that can hold this tournament, there's really only a handful now that can hold. There's only one in the state of Maine, and that's Bangor, that can hold this tournament. There's only 2 or 3 in Canada that can hold this tournament. And of course, you still have Lita, you have Lakeside. I mean, Timmy has said he's not going to hold it again. Yeah. So you got Lita. Massachusetts is a handful, and by handful, it's a small handful that can hold it.
Yeah.
So I posed this. I said, what if we went down to 20 teams? Mm-hmm. Kept the prize fund the same. Okay, so each team might have to pay a little more unless you had some sponsors. But you went down to 20 teams. That, to me, that would open up a lot of houses that could hold this tournament now with 20 lanes.
Yeah.
And so someone asked me, and Brian, I don't remember if it was you that asked me, how would you contract? I don't remember if that was you or
I mean, it just, the method to how you would get rid of 4 teams would be.
So the goal,
would you roll off or?
Well, so here's my thought: was the goal is obviously 10 and 10, 10 Canadian, 10 American. Mm-hmm. And right now, I think it's 13 and 11 right now.
Yeah,
it could even be 14 and 10.
It could be. There's been a few years. I mean, especially when they come down to the States, it has been 14 and 10.
Yeah.
And there's been a lot of dropouts, like a month before, of like a Canadian team not being able to come down, and then all of a sudden you're scrambling around trying to find 7 guys.
Yeah. So my thought is the previous year's playoff teams are in for the next year. Okay. So there's 10 spots because it's 5 and 5. Mm-hmm. So there's 10 spots right there. Your next 10, and you could do it however it needs to be done, and this could be worked on, would be a roll-off sometime in that April-May timeframe with a team, and it would be a weekend-long tournament. It wouldn't be a one-day. It'd be, a Saturday-Sunday type tournament, and you take your top 10 teams, that fills the tournament. Now, those 10, you can't just stack a team and then not use those in November. You would have to have a roster for that tournament that would be the roster for November.
Right. It'd be like your actual Worlds team.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, so that was just a thought. I mean, it was just.
You said it would be a round robin?
Yeah, I don't know how to do it. I'm just, again, I haven't. I don't want to see the tournament. I don't want to see it die.
Right.
And my fear is, as we move forward with Bowling Alley's closing, that we're going to lose places to hold this tournament.
So you're trying to open up more.
So I'm trying to open up more houses that can hold this tournament. Like, for example, 1710 in Augusta would be a fantastic place to hold this tournament, but they have 20 lanes.
Right.
Plenty of parking, great food. They've got a bar, plenty of room inside the bowling alley, and good pinfall. Yeah. I can think of several places that are 20 lanes that could hold this tournament.
Right.
That can't right now because it's 24.
Right.
Yeah. And how long is Teddy going to want to hold this tournament down at Academy? Because that's where we seem to go when it's in the States.
Teddy does a great job. It's run well there, but it's a lot of work on them.
Sure is. It sure is. I'm talking to him because I bowl there on Tuesday nights and Friday night league, and talking to him and his son Josh, and they all do a phenomenal job. They keep up with the lanes, but it is a lot of work. It's a lot of maintenance, and from what I've heard, I'm not 100% true on this, but I did hear that he doesn't want to do it every other year. He wants to wait maybe a year or two, and then he would be open to take it back. I mean, it's great to have that option. I really have no idea what's going on for next year. If we actually do have a Worlds because of this whole COVID thing, or what other bowling alley can really hold us or would want to take us. And
Yeah.
I'm not. I mean, I don't hate the fact of it going down to 20 teams. Um, obviously you'd hate to turn teams away. Um, I'm sure some of the guys on those certain teams are probably get asked to go on other teams.
Well, that's what Jeff had mentioned, was that he was like, if this were to happen, you might have some of these teams that may not be as competitive right now,
but could get better
become more competitive because by taking 4 teams away, there is now, call it 30 bowlers that are available to pick up.
Yeah.
Maybe some other guys. I don't know. There's no great answer, and I know that.
Yeah.
I don't have a lot of years left in the game of Candlepin bowling. Mm-hmm. I'd like to think I do, but I'm also a realist. Okay, I'm going to be 50 years old this year. I can still bowl at a high level right now, but can I 5 years from now? 10 years? Can I be Craig Holbrook and be bowling at 58, 59 the way he is?
I thought he was like 94.
He's not a robot you guys just put up there and he just throws the ball in the same spot every time? Because that's what I thought he was.
Every time. He doesn't age. He's still as lethal as can be. He's still as clutch as can be.
Mm-hmm.
And it's actually pretty incredible to watch.
Yep.
But I mean, when you say like you competitively 5-10 years from now, it's like the way things are going. Who knows if bowling alleys would even still be open?
Right.
5 years from now. And then that opens up a whole different conversation and discussion about whatever. But to keep the tournament going as long as you can, like there was talk that maybe even switching 1 year, like going up to Canada, like back-to-back years, just to try and keep like Canadian teams bowling in the tournament instead of like dropping out.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
I have talked to a few people about possibly doing that, and I'd be okay with it too. I mean,
I'm okay with. I just want to bowl in the tournament. I don't care if it's in the States or if it's in Canada.
I enjoy traveling up there. Like, I mean, the ride, it doesn't suck, but it's the feel of going up. Like, I love driving up to Halifax. Like, I didn't love it, but
I miss Fairlanes in Halifax.
Oh, me too.
Yes.
I miss that place. That was
one of my favorite Canadian bowling alley.
It's one of my favorite houses of all time.
Yeah, that too.
I miss it. It was fun. It was.
You just walked in and you felt comfortable for some reason. It was just, you felt like this is a bowling alley. This is where I belong. And you get on the approach, you felt like you were just at home in your league.
Yeah.
I never had an issue sliding there. It just, everything worked.
I love it.
Yeah.
Like walking in and you're like, no, this is the Worlds. Like we're here.
Yeah.
Worlds tournament. Like this is like that extra like
kind
of like little butterflies going on, and like you walk in, you're cheering like people on the singles, cheering your teammates on, you're cheering your friends on. Like like all right, the Worlds is here. Like it's this week, and it kind of gives you goosebumps a little bit and get all jitty.
Yeah.
Yeah, I miss Halifax, and I like the city. I loved having the Worlds there.
Yeah.
There was a lot of great places to eat. When we were done, you had the casino. You had plenty of things to do.
Yeah.
And I do like.
Ramada was nice.
It was fun. The Ramada was nice.
They had a pool.
Yeah. With a slide.
Yeah. Yep. I went down the slide.
Yeah, I sure did.
I like Moncton. Don't get me wrong. I like Moncton.
Yeah.
It's. I like the bowling alley. I wish the pins weren't as inconsistent as they are.
Wish they weren't so awkward.
I find Moncton to be inconsistent at best.
Yeah. I mean, I honestly felt kind of the same with Kingswood.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, the one year when I was there, like I had a really great week. I actually had the high average that week, but it was still like looking around and watching everyone else bowl. It was still very like inconsistent. And
there's a lot of head scratching that week. Like, what that
Yeah.
happened? Okay.
and a lot of that did have to do with they had a lot of different sized pins too.
Yep.
You know, like some were higher than others, shorter than others, and you know that obviously plays a huge role in making shots, playing a shot off the wall, or hitting a certain spot. So I think that may have a lot to do with it, but it was still. I mean, I liked how big it was. I liked there was plenty of room. The
Yep.
food was decent. I liked how it was there, but I did want the pin action to be a little more consistent than what it was.
See, and that's where I struggle, because when I started in the Worlds was 1992, and that was my first year. And like I said, I averaged 132, and I think I finished top 10.
Yeah.
But it wasn't close to being at the top.
Yeah.
And the pins were flying. And then we went to Fredericton, the old Handwells, and the pins were flying. And then we came back to Bangor, and the pins were flying. Like, if you were bowling good, you were going to score good.
Yes.
Vice versa, if you were throwing a bad ball, okay, yes, you might get a break occasionally, but more often than not, if you were throwing a bad ball, you weren't going to be rewarded for it.
No.
And that was Halifax for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Since we've left Halifax and since we've left Bangor, pinfall now you're looking at 120s, mid 120s, 127. It's not.
Yeah, my first year, man, I think Chris Hollett averaged like 138 for the week.
Yep.
And he bowled almost 30 games or something like that. Like the highest average I think I've ever seen. And like I said, I averaged like 131, but I was probably like 6th or 7th.
Yep.
On that
I mean,
stuff.
I've been top 4 for average. I've never won high average there, but I've been top 3, top 4 several times.
Yeah.
But it's always been in the 130s.
Right, and it's pretty incredible to average 130 and not be high average for the whole week.
Could you imagine now if you averaged 130, you'd win by 3 or 4 pins?
Yeah.
It wouldn't be close.
And it's not the caliber of bowling. I mean, it is a little bit. I mean, a little bit, but it's not. I mean, there's still great bowlers out there.
Yeah, I mean, there's probably a couple of teams that are, you know, a little lower on the caliber side, but the bowlers are still there.
Right.
Everyone's still bowling on the same lanes, and it's kind of mind-boggling. To me, it is. I mean, after all the years of, you know, watching bowlers go up and average 125 to 135, not easily, but, you know, it's there. To now be 124 to 129, like it's just like a huge difference.
It is like in nothing, and I'll use Academy as an example because you bowl at Academy.
Yeah.
The last tournament we had there, the last Worlds, I think I averaged 119 or 120, and I felt like I averaged about a 128 to a 130.
Yeah. Yep.
But that's Academy.
Sure is.
And it's, again, the place was immaculate, no breakdowns. You know, Teddy and Josh and the staff did a great job. But as a bowler that's taken a week's vacation out of work, spending a lot of money, I mean, it costs, let's face it, it's going to cost me $1,000.
Sure, yeah.
By the time I pay for the room, pay for bowling, food for the week, and everything else.
Yeah.
Okay, let's call it $1,000.
I mean, when you think about it, when you pay for bowling and hotel, that's like anywhere between $600 to $800.
Right.
You know, roughly, and then you're gonna have a few drinks, or whatever, during the day, and then dinner, and so yeah, for the week.
So let's call it
pretty easy.
Let's call it $1,000. If I'm spending that, I want to have fun. I want to enjoy myself. Yeah. Getting kicked in the nuts repeatedly when you're throwing a good ball, that's not fun to me.
Sure is not.
Nope.
Sure is not.
Busting the pocket and leaving the 5-6-10 or the 5-4-7-4 with no chance of ever making it. That seemed to be the academy. The two in the right, Tim, with the flat wood over the either side of it.
Yeah, can't forget the flat wood. And again, I like if someone were to ask me one of my I wouldn't call it one of my favorite places to bowl, but a fun place to bowl, I would give them Academy just because it's for the Worlds. It's got what you need.
Yep.
I wish the food was a little better, but I think they're addressing that, aren't they, or something like that? Didn't they put a bar in or something?
So over this whole pandemic and everything, the third side, way over to the right when you walk in, renovated the whole room. They took out 4 lanes, so there's 8. I want to say there's 8 brand new lanes. They're all synthetic. They're proto-synthetic, and they're putting a full bar in a kitchen.
Nice.
On a whole section as well, and they're kind of keeping that more for like private parties and functions and stuff like that.
That's cool.
But it looks really nice over there.
Yeah. So, David, what's some of your favorite matches you've had? Either a singles match or a team. It doesn't matter what, like doubles, whatever. What's a couple of your favorite matches that you've had? And I swear to God, if you say in June, I am going to come through this and kick you right smack in your one good nut.
Oh man, I was going to hold off on that one, but
no, you could use it if you want, because honestly,
Too soon.
Because that's still one of my all-time favorite matches that I've had. Even though we lost, it was still because it was never a blowout at any time. Like, no one was ever up more than 17 fucking pins. No one was ever up, 50, 60, 70 pins. It was close the entire time. So I'll leave it to you. What's some of your...
So I remember Friday Night League, I bowled against Holbrook, Zappy, Bobby Witt, Mike Kucha, and Rich Bognato.
Yep. I remember Richie.
Actually, I think they had a sub that night. I think McIntosh subbed that night. But either way, I was bowling with Peter Flynn, Bart Medeiros, Sargent, and Dan Gauthier. And we threw close to 2,000 as a team, and we lost by about 30. I want to say we lost. I think we lost 6.
Wow.
And that reminds me of my first year in Moncton. Bowling with Lucky, we bowled against Kingswood, and we split with them. I forget the exact numbers. I don't have those. Both teams were over 2,000.
It's funny you mentioned that. That was actually one of the ones Surratt brought up.
And Calvin.
And Calvin when we talked to Calvin as well.
Yeah.
I listened to the one with Calvin, and I do remember him bringing that up. And that one, to be a part of like that, and whether you win or lose, to watch like all that great bowling between everyone, 9 other guys and stuff like that, it's a special thing to be a part of. And I would definitely put those matches up there. I've had a couple of good singles ones. Beat Jeff Surratt for my first ever Pro Series win. That was at Sunnyside in Danvers. I'm sure he didn't bring that one up.
No, I don't think he did.
Let's see here. Yeah, there was a few good Worlds matches every now and then. But I mean, it's trying to think of it. It's tough to top the last year's June. I mean, just the way the situation was, and that moment coming back. You win for your team in that situation. I honestly don't know if I've ever really done that before.
I have gone on record, and I'll continue to go on record as saying that is one of the most clutch performances I've ever seen or witnessed from any single bowler. Was you being down 17 with 2 boxes to go and coming back and going spare strike. And there was no doubt about that strike. I mean, that was a fucking bomb the minute it left your hand.
Yeah,
it was. Yep, and being on the other side of that, yes, it sucks. No ifs, ands, or buts. It does. I mean, honestly, I was over it. 5 minutes after the match, I was like, okay, well, whatever. I mean, can't change it. And Davey threw what he had to do, and again, still one of the most clutch performances because of the situation.
Right, exactly.
The entire place. I mean, there was probably a good 100 to 150 people still in there.
Yeah.
Watching the whole thing. You had, it was hot as hell.
Yeah.
It's no doubt about it.
The Bangor thing, no.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Well, that's Charlie.
Yeah.
Charlie makes it 90 degrees and then he puts a sweater on.
It just.
He's 190 years old.
And I told you then, and I've told you several times that as a friend of yours, take away the fact that we were going against each other, team was going against each other. As a friend of yours, I was proud as hell as the fact that you did what you did, because, I mean, we've all dreamed about being in that position.
Yeah, that's like being a baseball player. It's like bottom of the ninth, 2 outs, playoff game or World Series, whatever. People dream to be in those kind of situations, and I mean, I have been in that situation a few times before, and not being able to pull it out, but to actually pull it out like that, and for that kind of money.
Well, that's the other part, is we've all been there in the league or in a Worlds or something like that, but not in the final.
Right.
I mean, I've done it, but I had a 20-pin lead going into the last two boxes when we won in 2001. So it's different.
Right.
You're looking at is, I don't care what I get. I just have to beat the other guy.
Mm-hmm.
When you're down 17 with 2 boxes to go, you're basically, fuck the other guy. I've got to throw marks.
Yeah.
And I mean, you made a great shot in the 9th, and you threw a massive bomb in the 10th, and the pucker factor went against Morrison, and
got a little break on the first ball too. I was able to.
Yeah, but I mean,
a decent ball, but it got a little break on it for a mixer to come off the wall, and then spinning around like a helicopter and tripped out 9, and that was that moment. And I do have a 235 stroke, as to where I did throw 6 strikes in a row, and that one happened at Park Place Lanes in Wyndham. That was probably like 10 years ago, I think, close to 2010, somewhere in there. And that throwing 235, I'll never forget. I was bowling. I was trying to stay as calm as possible because I didn't want to stay too crazy. And I just remember at one point I looked to my left, and the league was pretty busy. It was a pretty, there's three-person speed league, and there was probably like 16, 18 teams. And I looked to my left, and we were bowling toward the right, and there was no one bowling at all. I looked to my right, and then there's another league with like some of the older people. They're going away, whatever. But I looked to my left, and then I kind of do a little look behind me, and I was like, "Huh, there's a lot of people standing behind me right now." There's a lot of people.
This escalated quickly.
It happened, I want to say, in the 8th box. And then I ended up throwing a spare in the 8th, and then striking the 9th. And then I hit the head pin. I left the 2-pin by itself. Dropped it, missed it, got it for a 10 box for 235.
Oh, so you had a chance.
If I 9 or 10 on it,
yeah,
it was right there.
Yeah.
It was right there. Actually, I have the score right behind me. There was a five string league. I had a 784.
Nice.
With a 106.
Oh.
I'll never get rid of this. I want to actually try and get like a plaque and get it. Get it.
Yeah.
But yeah, 6 strikes in a row. 7 fill, make it. 9 fill, make it. Strike. And then 9 drop.
Miss it. Ah. So I've never done 6 in a row. And I don't even think I don't think I've had a 5-bagger in my life. I not that I can remember. And a small handful of 4-baggers, and none of my 200 strings had a 4-bagger.
That's actually, my 221 didn't have a 4-bagger.
I had 2 triples in my 215. I had 2 triples. I went started out triple, open, triple, and then ended with 3 spares. And that was one of those, like you mentioned, but I was in a small house at Oxford Hills, and after I threw the second triple, I'm like, God, it's quiet in here. And I looked, and like everybody, I'm like, oh, all right.
I'm here right now.
I mean, I look, let's face it, I love it. The more people that watch me bowl or that are there, I love. What about you, Brian? Do you like it when people are?
Oh yeah, I love a crowd. I'm a loud person by nature, so it doesn't bother me. The only time I've really felt anything like being in the tunnel, or so to say, is we bowled you got Tim's team in the Worlds one year when I was on Main Heat, and I got to bowl Sean Morrison. And I don't know if I visually saw anything other than my pins for the whole time, but it was a very fun match. And yeah, it was very fun.
We were cheering for Brian.
Yeah. When the other team is cheering for you,
which is actually fun. Really funny. I mean, we look, let's face it, we pretty much had the match in hand, and he's bowling against Morrison, and so Charlie's cheering for Brian.
Yeah.
So we were cheering for Brian.
Well, the reason you had the match in hand is because you decided to come out of your shell for a little bit and say, "Oh, Sean's getting his ass kicked. I have to bowl now."
I might have done. I might have done something like that.
But
because you were 440 that match.
Yeah, it's I've had bigger. That's what she said too. But
it's pretty incredible how when you're bowling, like you get that tunnel vision, and it kind of like it comes and goes. You wish you can stay in that zone like the whole entire time when you're bowling, but there's only like so many times it doesn't happen as much as you want it to, and you wish you can keep yourself in that like mentality in that zone, like
because you don't miss, you hit everything,
and your ball is working.
Yeah.
Go down the side, miss the head pin. You got to look at a 2-pinner or 3 down the line, like something like comfortable to shoot at. And then if you're a little heavy on the head pin, then all of a sudden you splash and everything, and you break up 2-1s, you get a nice flat piece of wood in front of it. Like, it happens when you're really bowling well. And it's frustrating when you're bowling against that.
I've been there, unfortunately.
Yeah, we all have. Brian has, and
oh yeah,
it's just the name of the game. And it comes down to when you're hot, and it happens. It's gonna happen against you, and it's gonna happen for you. So
yeah,
take it when you can.
Yep.
Brian, I meant to ask. Did you have any questions for Davey?
No, you covered pretty much everything. That's good, man.
Yes.
Look at you.
Look at me go. Being an actual.
You had diarrhea of the mouth, so I just let you keep going, man. You were flowing.
I don't know I don't know. Sometimes I do, and I don't even realize that I do. Sometimes I'm a talker, so
it's your nature.
Yeah.
Yeah,
you're like an old folky around the campfire guy. You just like to have a chat. It's like fireside chats.
I do. I enjoy it, and especially when we're talking bowling. I love the game. I really do. And the older I get, the more I want the more I want people to understand that we're never going to be able to retire from this game. We're not. This isn't Major League Baseball. This isn't the NBA. This is not football. It's not anything like that. This is a labor of love. And the older I get, the more it hits home to me that bowling has been very good to me for the last 30 years. And I'd like to think that I've learned some things from the game. And that was one of the things why I started the podcast with Brian was this is our way of trying to keep the sport alive.
Yeah.
And to be able to give it some, be able to give some, put some faces to the names and things like that.
Yeah.
And as my wife says, bowling is my church. She's like, old ladies go to church every Sunday. You go to the bowling alley. That's where you see your buddies and you gossip and you have fun and you drink your drinks and then you come home. It's your church.
Yep.
And I'm like, it is.
Yeah. No.
I've met my very best friends in bowling alleys.
Yeah.
Andy met me.
Well, you're on the outreach program payroll, Tim. I hooked you up
true.
with that,
No, but this whole podcast thing, when I saw you guys doing it, I was happy to see it. Like, keeping the game going, doing the best you can. It's changed so much over the last, 10 to 15 years as to where bowling was so big back then. Like, you would go out and be so competitive. Like, you wanted someone to bowl bad. You wanted them to suck. But now, since it's dying, like, you can't really have that. You got to be more sociable. You got to, make more friends, and we got to pretty much stick together as long as we can really keep it going.
Yeah,
it's a Davey. That's a great point, and that'll lead me to my last thing before we kind of wrap it up. Was one of the reasons why I wanted to have you on here, and this was before you even said you wanted to do it, was Brian and I had talked about, okay, who do we want? Let's get a list together of guys. And, one was because I wanted to have a public forum with you on here so I could say, fuck you for beating me in June. I'm just saying. I'm just saying, even though, no, I kid. It was, there was a reason why when you did that, from my team, I was the first one over to congratulate you. And it really boils down to, because the older I get, the more I want to see this succeed, the more we need to have. How do I word this? I don't want to see people lose as much as I want to beat them. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I do.
But I want to do it as friends, as friendly competitors.
Yeah, right.
Mm-hmm.
Because it used to be, like you said, it was very cutthroat.
Yes.
Back in the day.
I've heard a lot.
I heard that people were made to cry on approaches at the Worlds.
That has happened a couple of times that I can remember.
I've heard multiple stories. I've heard.
That's my kid upstairs on his little go-kart toy.
Oh my God, that was awesome! I'm like, what the? I'm like, what the? I was like, is someone getting bombed right now?
A private helicopter just dropping in.
Man.
That was awesome. That was great.
Just my kid cruising to bed. Almost. He's like, what's going on? Beep beep.
No, like, so look, I had times where I was standing up to shoot a 9-pin drop when I'm on the opposite lane, and I've got the team right behind me that I'm bowling against, literally a foot from my. Now they would move because I swing my arm back, and I purposely swung my arm back. Might have hit someone before because they were pissing me off.
Sure.
And but they were literally in my ear going, they weren't like the Happy Gilmore, you will miss this shot. It was, I wouldn't want to be looking at that right now. Oh,
look at the cap, boy. Look at the cap.
Cap on, shit like that.
Very skinny pin down there. Very skinny pin.
Yeah.
Awful lonely.
So I want to get away from stuff like that, which is fun. Don't get me wrong. As a competitive person, I might have bit into it a little bit. And
I mean, yeah, back then, absolutely. I mean,
chirping was an art form back then.
Absolutely, yeah.
Chirping doesn't have that, and that's the thing, is chirping doesn't have its place in the game anymore because it is dying, and we need to save it.
Yep. Like I said, I heard stories. The other team, bowling against someone, they would go grab like a random spectator and have them heckle their opponents.
I've heard that.
I've bowled my first couple years against a few Canadians. I don't remember who they were, but I was bowling well, and they would swap someone out, and I'd get ready to set up. They'd cut me off every single ball, every single time.
Yep.
That used to be my big thing. I hated that. Oh, did I hate to get cut off?
Oh, it's brutal, and it just made me want to bowl better. You're trying to really mess
and
me up.
And that's the thing, like the fact they're doing it on purpose isn't. It's like the first couple times you're like, okay, that's not a coincidence.
Right, exactly. And you hear it after the third, fourth, fifth time.
Yeah.
You're like, yeah, this guy's an asshole, and he's going to keep chirping. It's kind of like the snaz.
Yeah.
Growing up, hearing him, I used to hate him so much. But then I got to know that's just him.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he's actually a really nice guy to talk to. And
Chris is a super sweet guy.
He really is.
And
he really is.
Loves the game.
In 2008, when we were in Bangor, he showed up one day with face paint. He looked like a friggin' Ultimate Warrior. And we bowled against him that match. And I remember I was bowling with Baker, and him and Baker were kind of, Snaz was being Snaz, and Baker kind of fed into it a little bit. I was bowling first, and he was bowling first. And, he's telling Baker, why don't you come down and bowl? He's like, oh, no, why don't you bowl third? And, they were going back and forth and trying to heckle me a little bit. And then I ended up throwing 4 marks in a row. And I remember him taking a bowling ball and, hitting himself in the forehead. And
he bled. He made himself bleed.
He's bleeding
from, bled his own blood.
His nose, into his mouth. Yep. Yep.
Oh, my God. I remember that.
Like, what is this?
I was like, this guy is an absolute psycho. Who is this guy? No idea who he was at the time.
He looked like one of the little Borderlands dudes.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. All right, we're running up against the time as usual, folks. You can reach us at rippingtherackpodcast@gmail.com, Ripping the Rack Podcast at Facebook. Same thing at YouTube is Ripping the Rack Podcast. Brian, where else can they hear us?
They can hear us on Spotify, iHeartRadio, iTunes, Breaker, Anchor, and wherever else you listen to your podcast mediums.
We appreciate it. Dave, do you have any questions for Brian or I? Or?
No. I mean, you guys pretty much answer the other questions, after you ask me, kind of answer yourselves. But,
all right.
It's pretty cool. This was a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun doing this. Thank you guys very much for having me.
And thank you for being on. It means a lot.
This is a blast.
We appreciate you being on. So
good luck with the rest of everything.
Thank you. Hey,
you
hope you guys stay safe down there. Obviously this is some trying times that we're in. So I know you recently have gotten over the COVIDs.
I did. I had it. I was very, very, very fortunate to have very minor symptoms.
Yep.
I didn't lose my taste. I didn't lose my sense of smell. I just had a very minor headache, and I just felt like blah. I was tired. I was sick. So I never had a fever. I was very, very fortunate. And I know other people. It actually kind of blows my mind that how it reacts so differently to others. One of my really close friends got it, and he said he was in bed for 4 days straight. He had a fever of 104, couldn't move, body aches, lost his taste, smell, the whole 9. And when I heard that, it kind of blew my mind. I'm like, I'm completely fine. If there was no COVID thing, I would have went to work the next day.
Yeah.
I only went and got tested for precaution, and I happened to have it, and just kind of kept me home. And
a friend of mine that I went to high school with just got home from the hospital. He was on a ventilator for 4 days.
Yeah.
So,
wow. Absolutely insane.
50 years old.
Yeah.
No underlying health conditions that I know of. Maybe he did. I don't know, but
it doesn't discriminate.
Nope.
Wear a mask.
Nope.
So just keep doing it. Don't be selfish. Don't be a dummy. Just everyone's going through this whole thing. Everyone's dealing. It's not just you, not just me or whoever. Just wear the mask. Until things get back to normal. If hopefully they get back to normal.
They will eventually.
Yeah.
They will. So, Davey, we appreciate it. Say hi to everyone down there for us. Okay. And again, don't forget, this will be Tuesday morning that you hear this. Don't forget Friday mornings as well. Brian and we will be discussing anything other than Candlepin Bowling. So we appreciate it all. Have a great week, and we'll be back soon.
Awesome. Thank you.
See ya.